We're live on a Monday, and today we talk about Law 4 of the 18 Laws of Human Nature. And so, Law 4 is determine the strength of people's character. This is the law of compulsive behavior.
Yeah.
This is the Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. And this is one that I definitely can benefit by learning from this chapter. I got a lot of good stuff from it. And I think it's a constant um, a struggle to implement some of these tactics that Robert Greene points out
For sure.
in actually recognizing certain people's behavior. But law 4 is to determine the strength of people's character, the
Right.
law of compulsive behavior. So, um, what are your thoughts on this law? What do you think about it?
Like all his stuff, it's really important. But now, since we started reading this book,
Mm-hmm.
uh, the previous chapters have thrown a curve at me because it's not just identifying these things in the other person, but it's actually trying to learn to read it properly, which
Yeah,
is
how
a
to
whole,
interpret it, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
because, you know, you may pick up something and then you think, oh, it's because of this or that, but are you actually interpreting the thing properly?
that's a great point because
I mean,
everybody is unique, everybody's different. So you got to make sure that you and your view on somebody, you have to be able to change it. You don't just want to put somebody in like a box, like you say.
yeah, and then you're skewed because you're interpreting something based on your own experiences,
Hmm.
you know? So how do you step out of your own? It gets complicated.
Well,
It really does.
that's where observing is key,
Right.
and I think that's what with this chapter it's all about observation, also like the previous one.
Yeah. In the previous one, there was one point where he says, observe, observe, observe,
Yeah.
3 times, and pick up this stuff. The bottom line is you just have to determine if people are coming from a genuine place, as much as that possibly can be attained.
Yeah.
Because then you're saying also, we're all wearing a mask. Even when we're out in public, when we're different with different people in different locations,
Yeah.
you know, you prepare for, like, if I go to a business meeting, I'm gonna behave in one way. If
Hmm.
I go to a family uh, you
Sure.
gathering, I'm gonna behave a different way. But are all those masks that I'm wearing?
Yeah.
Am I preparing to go to that place and put on a mask?
Well, Robert Greene says yes.
Yeah. So,
Now, character. That word is I think there's a lot that goes into it. Like when you're talking about somebody's character, one thing that he mentions in this law is that nobody does something only once.
mm-hmm.
That to me really hit me because we've all had instances. I personally have had instances where somebody has a reaction and then they come back and say something got over me, or I was going through a very stressful situation, or this was happening in my life. I was a little extra nervous, stressed out, whatever. And so I reacted this way, and then they come and apologize. And I've done it too.
Right,
Oh, I was going through a lot, so I was a little short with this person or whatever the case.
right.
But nothing happens just once, according to Robert Greene. And I think that that's very powerful because if you look at people's past behavior, and that's what he's saying, to study and observe and find out people's past behavior when you're going to go into business with them or when you're going to have a relationship with them. If you meet a girl, you're really into that girl, but you find out that that's a big old wasp that just came in the room. Let me pause this. Hold on. For those interested, we killed the wasp, a
That
paper
was
wasp.
A bit exhilarating. She'd put up a good fight.
I was talking about I had a buddy in high school, and I remember he really liked this girl. She had cheated on another guy, and I guess she was going out with him and this and that. And so I remember, him ended up getting with her as a boyfriend, girlfriend, and everything. And I remember she ended up cheating on him. And so the idea is that if you look at people's past behavior, what makes you so special? They're going to end up doing the same thing to you, probably.
Most likely.
Probably.
Yeah.
And that's what Robert Greene is saying, that people don't do things only once.
Right. And you have been, um, we've talked about this before because we read the book before
Yeah.
and we didn't have a podcast, so
Yeah.
we weren't going in detail, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you have brought this point up many times for the last, I don't know, 12 years or whatever.
Yeah.
This has actually hit you hard.
Sure. It
You
did.
know, and it makes sense, right? If they give the example of Howard Hughes,
Yeah.
how in his childhood, and I guess in everybody's childhood, is when your character is formed. And it depends on the number of people that influence you, your mentors, your father, your mother, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so he lost his mom and dad at an early age, and he became almost the opposite of what the rest of the family thought that he would be. He went from a mild, quiet mannered kind of guy to a daredevil seeker in his youth, you know, and doing whatever he wanted to do. And he had a ton of money to back him up from his father's very lucrative tool business that he had, you know, started.
But the reason that Robert Greene pointed out on why he changed after his parents died was because of the way the parents were with him. They
Correct.
it was The mom found out she couldn't have any other children. He
Yes.
was the youngest apparently, and smothered him to
Right.
a point. And in
To
our previous series, the 12 Rules for Life, Jordan Peterson talks about the Oedipus mother,
hmm
the one that is smothering to a point where this is not healthy.
no,
And that's what Robert Greene said the mother did to uh,
Howard Hughes.
Howard Hughes.
Yeah. And it's funny because the other day I was reading on something else, and the guy was making a critique saying, look, the worst thing that I can hear from a father or a mother is this: I want to give my children everything that I lacked growing up,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So you're going to give them, so you grew up in a situation where you um, didn't have much. You had to work for it, you had to earn it, right?
Right.
From the sweat of your brow, kind of thing. And now you're giving everything to this kid. And now people are saying, hey, they're not going to value it because they didn't earn it, they didn't work for it.
Right.
And they have so much that it becomes just like another toy, for example, in children, and so forth. And so,
You end up destroying that kid's life because you're spoiling them to the point where they don't value things.
right.
Now, have you ever seen an instance where you saw somebody crack under pressure that maybe caught you off guard, or because Robert Greene's talking about people that can't handle stress well.
Right.
Is there an instance that you can think of?
Yes, I had someone that I was in business with, and I looked up to this person very much, and I thought that they were always under control. And it seemed to me that they were. But one time we got into an investment and we ran into some issues at City Hall. We weren't getting the permits that we needed, this and that, and whatever. And he actually fell apart. He couldn't handle that kind of stress. And it made matters really bad because he fell apart in City Hall with the inspectors that were supposed to give us the permits. And so
What do you
um,
mean fell apart?
we weren't getting the proper permits, and he started screaming and yelling at the people, and
Mm.
that only makes matters worse. You can disagree with them, okay? And you can try to figure out a way where you can come to some kind of arrangement or medium, but you don't start screaming at people and calling them names. And
Mm,
that's what happened. It was a total disaster. We lost money on that. So he fell apart. And I never did any more deals with him. And um, in the book, it's telling you put yourself out there a little bit, right? Put yourself out there a little bit in situations that are stressful so you can learn to manage the stress, okay?
yeah,
Because there are a lot of people that cannot handle stress very well and
correct.
they fall apart.
Yeah,
um, I think guilty as charged.
sure. Yeah,
When I was younger, a lot of stuff that maybe health related with my parents. They were older, and if something wasn't working well, with their health, it would be a great deal of stress for me, you know? Um, and so you need to learn to, I think it's a constant learning and a constant getting ready for a battle, you know? But it's
yeah.
interesting because the book is telling you put yourself out there, put yourself in certain level of stress
Mm,
and see how you handle it, and that way you build on your character because you can build on your character,
yeah,
you know.
yeah. I think so. I think that sometimes in life also we have tests that we weren't expecting, so I think it's good, both things are going to occur, but if you can intentionally put yourself in a situation that has some pressure, see how you react and try and get better in it. I personally, I think I like to be in somewhat pressured situations. I think it kind of helps me, pushes me a little bit, but some people really don't want to be in pressure, under pressure.
Right.
um I was sharing this story with someone not long ago where when I was 19 years old or so, you and I were marketing our insurance business at the time, and you would go to this meeting with me, right? Of a bunch of realtors, real estate professionals, and stuff. And I don't know, let's say there was 100 people or something like that,
Sure.
and I was the youngest there, and I felt intimidated. But then after about 3 times or 4 times, you said you're gonna go by yourself now to go market our business, and I didn't want to, and I was
Right.
very intimidated. And I remember driving there by myself, not wanting to go, kind of staying a lot outside for a bit, not wanting to go. But I forced myself to go in, and I forced myself to try
Good
to
for you.
talk to people.
Good for you.
I didn't want to do it. I really didn't like you at the time because you were forcing me to do that. But I also felt the business, I was part of the business, and we were building something. So I had to put myself in that stressful situation. You helped in that. But I think it did help to get me out of my shell. So I think that it's kind of that you showed me a video of like how grandparents teach their kids to swim or something, and they just push them over, something like that. There is something to
That's a
that.
sitcom, though. That's an old
Yeah,
one. Yeah, I love it.
but there's something to
I
it.
think we need more of that.
There is because I think so. Because if you're too soft on somebody, you're not giving them a chance to maybe develop and build their character.
I think that um, my sons and daughters are not gonna bring their grandkids around all that much when they see the philosophy that I hold dear and near to my heart.
One time I saw a butterfly breaking out of its shell, the
You did?
cocoon, I think it is.
Wow.
No, on video. I
Oh,
saw it
okay,
on
okay.
video. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, on
okay.
video. What they were explaining was that the butterfly needs to struggle of opening the cocoon
Uh-huh.
to develop the wing strength. If you help it because it's struggling and it can't get out, it's not going to make it. It's going to be too weak to survive. So you cannot help it get out. It needs to itself develop the strength to get out of its shell, and then it's ready for the world. And so I think that I say it all the time, adversity makes the man, makes the woman. I really think that character is built on stressful situations, but we also need to observe how do we act in a stressful situation. A couple years ago, the pandemic happened. People were scared of their life. People were scared of losing their jobs. People were scared of losing family members. There was this thing in the air that people were scared of, right? And I saw what at the time were friendships turn into just fade away because they were in disagreement maybe with, let's say, what I thought something, whether you should go A or B, right? And it was interesting to see because there was no tolerance for let's say, my point of view or our point of view on something. Now, later on, some of these relationships, friendships, tried to come back and reconnect. But in my mind, I kept thinking they acted this way in an extremely stressful situation. They're gonna do it again. This is who they are.
Maybe you're not giving people a chance to change. Maybe.
This whole beginning
I'm
of the
not trying to put
chapter,
you against the wall, but
no,
maybe.
no, and I think that we have to weigh that out, right?
Yeah,
Half of this chapter is talking about Howard Hughes, how he never changed.
that's true.
And
He
he
was,
convinced people that he changed.
that's
And
right.
he was able to get new contracts with the government.
You're
He was
right.
able to get new partnerships, telling them I was not thinking straight. I'm gonna delegate. I'm gonna step away. He was what Robert Greene calls a hyper perfectionist.
Okay.
He needed to be involved in every aspect. He never changed, right? So, how do you figure out in life whether you give that person a second chance or whether this is who they are?
Okay. So let's get this straight. I don't know the answers.
No, no, but I'm asking you.
I have no idea
How would
what
how
the
would you
answers are.
how would you do it? How
So
would you
there's
figure it out?
been a person in our lives that, was a family member,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought that person was toxic, and I separated us from that person.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I've never given that person a second chance to come back into our lives.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's bad of me. And you get a lot of, you second guess yourself a lot when you do something like this because it's a very drastic decision.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the behavior that that person was having was horrible. And so I chose to separate the family from that person.
Mm-hmm.
Many, many years have gone by, and we've seen each other and say hello cordially, but it's a tremendous separation. And I never gave that person a second chance. So I'm guilty of that. And you know, when I see the Lord, I'll pay for it you know, if there's a necessity for that. But I'm one to tell someone, don't put me in a box because I want to change and I want to grow
Yeah.
and I want to learn. If you are on the road to um, improvement, you must learn something new every day. I tell that to my grandkids all the time. Okay. What did you learn in school today? And it's very difficult to get an answer out of them. Oh, it's very vague. So I don't know what they're learning in school. Okay, hopefully, but it's very difficult to get an answer. And so, you get these people that your character is built in your
Since
early
you're a child.
ages. Yeah.
Yeah.
According to Jordan Peterson, I think by the time you're 5, your character is set. Okay.
Yeah, I've heard 0 to 6,
0 to 6,
0 to 7.
yeah, something like
It's
that.
around there.
So, and you're growing up in the same household and you have 3 kids and they all develop differently with
Sure.
different types of characters. Okay?
Some are also born a certain way.
That's
They
correct.
talk about the greedy child,
The greedy child.
the theory of the greedy child, that
Right.
he was just born that way.
Right. And then you have the young couple that gets married and they have their first child and they're extremely protective of that child. And at some point you have to realize, look, if you're talking about the struggles make the man or the struggles make the woman, then how do you
You got
apply
to let him
that?
struggle.
You got, and if you don't, you're in for a world of hurt.
You're doing him a disservice.
That's right. Like this guy that was saying, the worst thing I can hear from a father or a mother is saying, I want to give my children what I lacked growing up.
So you're disagreeing with Robert Greene in what don't put me in a box, because he's saying look at past behavior and then figure out if you want to do business with that person or not, or be in a relationship with that person or not. You're saying give me a chance, even though that was my past behavior. Don't put me in that box.
I'll probably not give you a chance. Okay.
Okay.
But because I'm telling the world, you thought of me the way I was, and I think that I have transformed myself from what I was. I'm looking for improvement.
And there
Uh,
are other people like that.
and there are other people like that.
So give him a second chance,
Mm, I
potentially.
potentially,
Th-
potentially.
That's the thing. That's what I'm asking you.
Well,
How do
because
you figure out
it's
who you
difficult.
give the second
It's
chance?
difficult because you have to look at these cues, and if they did something once, most likely they'll do it again, and they could be the Howard Hughes of the world that say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna step back, this and that and whatever. And once they've got you under contract,
Uh-huh.
okay,
They show their true
they
colors.
show their true colors. He mentioned the Nixon guy,
Mm-hmm,
the
mm-hmm,
Nixon
mm-hmm.
administration. I forget the name of the guy. I wrote it down. Um, but this guy, um, let's see if I can. Bob Haldeman. Okay. Bob Haldeman wanted to hire McGruger. He was looking for a job. And McGruger got mesmerized by the ability to be with the Nixon administration and this and that. And Bob Haldeman was a true Nixon believer, right? But then they were going to uh, get a golf cart so that he can show them um, the area they were in. I forget what it is. Uh,
San Juan Capistrano,
San Juan Capistrano. Okay.
right?
No,
No, it was another area. Anyways,
anyway, it's
it'll come to me.
yeah, it was a beautiful seashore.
It's a coastal city
Yes, a coastal
in
city. I forget.
going towards San Diego,
Yeah.
that area. But
Anyway,
mhm.
and he had set up for a golf cart so that they could travel in the area in the golf cart and this and that. And um, somebody messed up, and there were no golf carts available. And Bob Haldeman lost it. He started screaming at people, calling them names, very, very bad.
Mhm.
And, McCruger was there. And he saw that man fall apart just because a golf cart was not available. Okay. And it interfered with his plans. And you that should have been a sign
Right
for
then,
him
run.
not to sign up. San Clemente.
San Clemente. There you
They
go.
were in San Clemente. So he was gonna, it was a sign, don't sign up with this because and as the years went by, Holdeman made McGruger's life miserable.
Yeah.
Okay. So, there are some signs that are put out and we either misinterpret them
Yeah.
or we don't pay attention to them. And then we get involved with a toxic wife or a toxic husband or a toxic employee.
Friendship,
You hire the
employee.
wrong employee. You hire the wrong employee, and that person could potentially take the company down.
Yeah.
You know, that's why Robert Greene is a consultant to a lot of Fortune 500 companies.
Yeah.
You know, the guy does great at what he does. He's building widgets, but he's not good at human resources. So delegate that out.
There's a couple tests that Robert Greene points out in this law you can kind of use. One of them was how do people take a joke, let's say, about themselves
Uh-huh.
at their expense? Are they able to handle it?
Right.
Do they take it personal?
Yeah. Let's ridicule this guy. Let's make a joke at his expense
Right.
and see how he can
See
take
how
it.
so it's kind of like a test of character.
That's right.
Another one that I thought was very interesting was a quote from Abraham Lincoln. if you want to test a man's character, give them power.
That's right.
That was, if
That's
you
right.
want to test a man's character, give them power.
That's right.
So let's say you have an organization, and you're testing people's character. You put somebody in a temporary management position, or maybe temporary overseeing a project, overseeing people,
Mm-hmm.
and see how they react in that instance. Are they kind to the people that they're take? Are they effective in their form of leadership, or are they a bad leader?
And you
Um,
have to start early in life. For example, one of my grandkids has a piece of information that I don't want to have it let out to the public, let's say.
mhm.
And I sat down with my grandson and I said, listen to me carefully. If this information gets out, it's going to be because you put it out there, because you have a big mouth and because you can't control it. And if that happens, I'm never going to trust you again. Now, he didn't find out that information from me. It just happened that he found out.
He found out.
Yeah. And I had that conversation with him. If I find out that this leaks out, I know you were the weakest chain. And I had this conversation with him all alone, him and I. It was very pleasant,
Mm-hmm.
but he understood.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's a very amiable kid, very nice, fantastic spirit. But if he lets it out, that's it.
It's
He
giving
knows
you
how.
it's giving you an idea of their character. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, you know, I don't want to, because I feel that everyone can change for the better, because I feel that I have changed for the
Yeah.
better.
So then you disagree with Robert Greene in that sense,
I don't
because
know
he
that I
thinks
would give
that,
you a second chance because I want to be true to my core, but I know that people can change. So maybe somebody else can give you a second chance.
yeah. Yeah, because I hear what you're saying about people changing, but do you really change at your core and who you are and your values?
I don't think you can, but
I
I think you
don't
can
know.
modify your behavior.
Yeah, but when it comes down to it, you're that same person that
You
maybe
are.
you were when you were 7 years old. Um, this one, when I
The
was
can I say real quick something else?
yes, yeah.
The other thing was you play a joke on the guy,
Hmm.
or you give him information, right? That's specific and uh, not secretive, but what's the word
Like
I'm using for? Uh, you
yeah,
give it
yeah, you give them
information that's crucial
like a
that other people
rumor or
don't
something
have.
like that.
Huh?
Like a rumor.
You give him information that is factual, but it
Not known.
secretive, let's say.
Okay.
Okay, especially in I believe this had to do with the workforce.
Hmm.
So you give him information that um, if it leaks out, it would benefit the other party, the one that's in competition with you. Like maybe if you sell insurance and this employee finds out about this, it could give the other insurance agency in the same town or the same county an edge over you.
Hmm.
And you find out if that employee can hold that information. Now, it's not that drastic because you don't want that out. So you wouldn't do that,
No,
right?
but he's
But you give
saying
him a little bit
give them some information. So that's a little bit, what would be the word? It's a,
testing the character of the person.
yeah. Yeah, it's
Are you
testing the
with the
character.
team? Are you with us? Are you really truly with us? Do you?
Yeah. That's where sometimes when I'm listening to this and reading this, I think that there are some of the 48 laws of power
There
plays
sure
going
is.
on here, because when you're giving someone purposely information to see how they react, whether they're going to tell it to somebody else and stuff, that's somewhat, would is deceptive the word, or that's like you weren't really giving them that information just for them. You're trying to test the person.
You're testing the person.
That's a little
You
bit,
gotta
you're
be
playing
careful.
games.
You gotta be careful because
Yeah.
um, if the test comes back with the wrong expectations that you might have, now what do?
Yeah. Well,
You take
then,
action.
yeah, now you know that person is not trustworthy with this information,
Yeah.
or the next information.
It's a dangerous road. It can be a double edge, especially if you're doing this with your spouse.
Oh, well.
Because we're thinking about work, But these things apply across the board,
Sure.
right? With family,
Yeah.
sons and daughters, a father and a son, a father and a daughter, an uncle, your spouse, uh, in the workplace.
I'll tell you, to me, one of the greatest tests of character is how someone handles when they made a mistake. Do they admit fault to the mistake? Do they try to put it on somebody else? Do they admit fault, come clean right away, and say, I messed up here? How do they handle that? Because that to me shows character. Recently, it happened where one of our business associates made a mistake. I knew it was a mistake. I didn't bring it up. They brought it up to me and said, I made a mistake here. Sorry about that. We're going to get it resolved. I thought that is character. You are willing to admit you're not perfect, but you're also willing to take blame for something, and then try and resolve it. The person that shies away from admitting to a mistake that they made, and I've been guilty of it, okay? But to me, that's someone of weak character.
Okay.
I think that one of the true tests is being able to say that you did something wrong. That's very hard to do. Very difficult for me, at least.
The more you do it, the easier it becomes. And you realize you're not perfect, you're not infallible. So, I keep thinking of Mike Tyson. You know the story. He comes clean. He has no problem saying, "Hey, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I messed up."
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Another thing that's interesting in this chapter is I had to read this several times, but it says weak characters in people will always neutralize any other good qualities that they may have. That's so
Yeah,
he's saying you're better off going with people with strong characters
yeah.
because people with strong characters will become strong leaders and there'll be a successful outcome. People with weak characters, that weak character will always neutralize any other good qualities that that person may have.
Wow.
And, you know,
Yeah, because you could say this person has so many great things that they do, so many great qualities, but they have a weak character.
yeah, that's right. Like if you have a great, great engineer, but he can't handle criticism, then that's a problem.
Especially positive criticism.
Well, I think they'll handle positive criticism well, but negative criticism is what we're talking about. Hey, why was this corner cut in this
Well, no,
angle?
positive criticism. Like it's meant to put you in a better place, is what I mean.
Okay.
Like it's positive criticism. You're not just criticizing like, look at the horrible job that you did. This is actually criticism meant for improvement. That's what I mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was to me very, very interesting because, he gave the example of Warren Buffett, and he says that Warren Buffett has always looked beyond the revenue to the owners and the managers that are running the different businesses that he's buying.
Mm.
And he's saying, inevitably, the character of the person weighs a ton with Warren Buffett. And Warren Buffett leans to buying businesses with leaders and owners of strong character. And he was saying that, and I thought that was very, very interesting because um, it's like a law that he laid down,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah,
Because some people are maybe just looking at spreadsheets. What is the company generating in
right.
profits, not who's running it.
Like the example you gave me this morning when we went to get coffee,
Hmm.
where we have a friend that just moved because his rent was raised uh, by $1,000.
Yeah.
Okay, but in that particular complex, there were several other people that their rents were raised,
Yeah.
and he's saying everybody's moving out. Not everybody in the complex, but at least three tenants that he knows because they just rent the rents through the roof.
Hmm.
And he asked you, doesn't isn't it better to just raise it a little bit and keep it all the other three units rented as opposed to raising it a ton and everybody all three tenants are leaving?
And he actually went to the management company and tried to, because he's a businessman, tried to negotiate and work out a better rate. They didn't care. He says that they didn't care at all. This is what it is. There's some private equity firm that's massive that I guess is willing to take some loss or willing to just lose the tenant and deal with it. And there was no personal like care for the business. So he felt he's going to move on.
See,
Yeah.
I believe that's a mistake
Yeah.
on the part of the firm. Because if somebody comes to me, because let's say um, they want to negotiate something, I'd be willing to sit down and listen.
But maybe
Because
that's the difference between a businessman and then this
an
huge
equity firm,
management
yeah.
company. Now, maybe if this management company had good people there that had those values, but in this case, they didn't.
Well, the only reason I can think of that they don't care is that they have huge profits somewhere else,
Yeah.
and they're gonna take these losses and you know
Who knows? Yeah. Write it off.
write it off against those profits. But it's part of the character because
Yeah.
you're talking to somebody and it's like talking to a block wall. You know, they just don't care, and you can tell too.
Yeah. Yeah. You can tell.
You can tell.
Yeah. There's a lot of signs that with people that we maybe ignore. The way somebody's speaking to you, whether they look at you in the eye to eye, or whether they're, not giving you their time or whatever. In instances when you're interacting with people, you can tell when somebody, like, if they care or not, if they're being genuine or not. But sometimes we ignore those things because we are, what's the word that you used about the gentleman with Nixon? He was so
Mesmerized, and he wanted
mesmerized.
he
Yeah.
wanted that job so badly.
You're so mesmerized with the job, with
The title,
the title,
being in San Clemente,
with the girl,
beautiful. Yeah, yeah,
with whatever. You get
right.
so mesmerized about the
That you don't
opportunity,
see the
you're not seeing the real signs that are there. It happens to all of us. But this is law is about trying to determine people's
people's
character.
characters.
Yeah. And try to control compulsive behavior, you know? Because if you're in a very stressful situation, take a moment and sit back and don't send that email right away. Don't send that text right away. Don't make that call right away. Give yourself a few hours or a day to think this over. Because a lot of these things, we get heated up. And that's another thing that I like about towards the end of the chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Greene begins to say, look at yourself and find out what are those things that trigger you. Find out why. What you have to look into yourself and your own character. What kind of person are you? And I think that when do we do that? When do we actually look at ourselves and try and figure out why are we reacting this way? I know there are certain words for me that trigger. They set for some reason they put a trigger in me. Certain words. Why? Why do those words affect me like that?
Very interesting.
Or certain people or certain behaviors. And so it's probably something that happened
In
in
childhood.
childhood. It's probably something that I experienced that I didn't like or whatever in school or whatever. And we all have, let's say, situations and experiences that have formed us. So I like that he's talking about examine yourself. Are you an introvert or an extrovert?
Yeah, that was another thing.
uh, what are the things that you're drawn to? What are the patterns in your life? Do you are you notorious for having long lasting relationships with friends, or are you notorious for not being able to keep friendships?
Yeah.
Are you, what are your patterns?
Yeah, he gave an example of a gentleman who was extremely intelligent, but he was of weak character, and he ended up being his own undoing because with the weak character he was really brilliant, but with the weak character people were able to manipulate him, and so it's very interesting, you know. Um, Ever since the last chapter, I'm watching people like when I come to a red light, and I have to stop my car, and people are crossing. You know the way people walk.
Their gait.
I'm watching that now, and you have to be careful that you don't become judgmental prior to. But you know, it's a lot of fun watching people. Uh,
Well, you're trying to assess
can you imagine?
and trying to figure out about the person. I guess there is some judgment involved in there.
Right.
I think that it's okay to be judgmental, to be honest.
Well,
We have to be judgmental with the people that we're going to go into business with, relationships with. You know, we've encountered some people and we said, you know what, we don't want to get involved with that person, even though it could be an opportunity.
right.
Or how can we maneuver best with these people? Um,
There's one very successful businessman that we have a, you know, we're in contact with somewhat, and we're in agreement that we would never do business with that person.
mm. um, all the different character types, that was interesting where he gets into those.
Yes,
I
the
mean, there's a bunch, so
toxic,
we won't
the
get into.
drama magnet.
Yeah,
I mean,
the pleaser, the easy moralizer, the hyper perfectionist, relentless rebel. Anyways, the point is that it's a pretty cool way of looking at people, trying to assess what kind of character this person is, and then figure out, do you want to just stay away from that? Don't get involved with that person.
yeah, you know, we have some friends that are extremely nice, but there's always something going on with them, you know? You know, and so it's an amazing thing.
Yeah, there
It
are some people that are accident prone. There are some
accident prone.
people that drama. That was one of them.
Well, I had an employee that she always had something going on, and what would end up happening is she pulled the other employees into it.
That was the drama magnet.
The drama magnet.
Some, they live off of drama, and this gets them attention, so they want to pull you into
Oh
their
my
drama.
God. And there was a point when I approached this lady and I said, "Listen,
Save
no
it.
more talking about your personal life in the office. You can't because everybody, you know, you're nobody was getting their work done." I I
Yeah.
ended up unfortunately letting her go, but after a few years with us, but I just had to. There's just no way around it, and it's my fault. It's bad judgment, and sometimes, and you know, I this lady did a lot of good for me because I hired her because I really needed her, and she proved to be good. The problem was that I didn't see her growing. She didn't improve with time. As my business grew, she couldn't keep up and she started making mistakes. And I don't know if it was because of issues in her personal life or what. Um, you know, that's why I say there is something to be said about giving people a second chance. I don't know that I have that gracefulness to do that because I'm gonna judge you by your first mistake most likely. You're gonna have to bring unrelenting proof to me that
Yeah.
you've turned that corner
It's a lot harder.
before I give you another chance. You know, I'm not the forgiving, not forgiving, but the forgetting type kind of thing. So, and yet I'm asking the world, don't put me in a corner. So it's I'm not being fair. You see what I mean? Kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I do.
So you need to grow every day. You need to learn something every day about yourself, about how you would react in a stressful situation, and try to improve, try to do better for yourself, for the people around you.
Yeah.
You know, improve the area so that the people around you can also improve.
I do think that that's important. Work on yourself.
Yeah, I think that's the first thing.
I really think it's important also to pay attention to people's behavior. And I've given good news to people, and I didn't get a reaction that I thought I was gonna get. It wasn't initially happiness for me, and so I'll never forget that. Now, there's a real question here, and somebody I respect, a musician, I like his take on things. He says, "Forgive but never forget."
Okay.
I don't know if that's the right thing or not. I think that that might be the right thing. You forgive people. We're all human. We all make mistakes. Um, but never forget that person's what they did and how they reacted. So by not forgetting, you're not gonna caught off guard next time. But I'll never forget I gave that person good news and their reaction. Now they could that's where the laws of human nature come in, right? Because they'll say, well, I was going through something really difficult and I was in my own head and that's why and blah 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 blah. And you could
They
choose
say
to
that's
believe
baloney.
well, you could choose to believe that, or that was their true
His
colors.
true colors.
Yeah, their true colors.
Well,
Because
there are a couple of chapters that we've read, and we were doing so much research, but, where they say, hey, you know what? The person changed after they got their job. Or the tenant was super nice, in the application process and this and that. As soon as they got the property and they moved in, they turned into somebody different. And that happens, a lot.
or the power changed them, or the money changed them.
No,
Robert Greene is saying
no.
they were that person.
They were that person.
Now
Oh,
they're that person with money, with power, and
right.
they can really show you who they are.
They can show you who they are. That they were that person all along,
Yeah.
and they came into success, and success has just brought out their true self, but more.
I'm a believer of that.
So am I. So am I. And
Yeah.
who am I to disagree with this man?
No, I think there are many things that we can disagree with.
Well,
Even though, he's done a lot of research and everything. Yeah, it doesn't mean that because I do like your take that you're saying, hey, give me a second chance. I'm trying to improve. But if we look at the patterns of your behavior, are they consistent?
you
And
would be
that's what,
wrong with Howard Hughes. You would be wrong with Bob Haldeman.
by giving him
You,
a second chance.
that's right. You would be wrong with the other guy, uh, Cassius Severus.
That
Okay.
was an interesting,
Yeah, that was an interesting one. So, you know, you would be wrong with all the
with
examples
those,
that are brought up in this particular book, in this
sure.
chapter.
But he's also trying to make a point. I'm sure you would be right with some people,
Maybe.
giving them a second chance. Maybe some people do actually
And the
prove
argument
you
could
wrong.
exist that the percentages are very low.
Yeah. I would say they are.
I would say
I
they
would
are
say
too.
they are, but maybe some people do get that second chance. And
That's why there's that saying, fool me once, shame on me, fool me twice. No, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
right. Well, yeah, I think that if you really study these laws of human nature and the 48 laws, and you really do your own, then you shouldn't even be fooled once. You should be able to catch that
Oh,
person. You should
yeah,
be able to
well,
catch it ahead of time.
I'm 65 years old and I'm telling you I've been fooled plenty of times. And when you're thinking that you've got it all down, you see something new come up.
Oh,
That's
I'm sure.
absolutely incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. That's reality.
Yeah. But I will tell you that as life goes on
Hmm.
and you become older, you're going to change no matter what. Even if it's just the age factor. Now some people would argue that and say, hey, you know what? This guy is 65 years old and he's still got the mentality of high school. He wants to go party all the time. He wants to go to the nightclubs. He's, driving the fast cars. He's this and that. And they never put their life together or whatever, you know? And then if you speak with that person might say, hey, I'm happy the way I'm doing things,
Hmm.
you know? So, you know, to each their own, to a
Yeah.
certain extent.
Yeah. I don't think that, I think it's really important if we're going to get into business with them. if we're going to get
Right.
into a relationship with them.
Right.
If you're looking for a mate, like a partner in life, those are the instances where you really have to judge correctly and
Yeah.
try and figure the person out.
Like Patrick with David had a book that he made his current wife read, and they had a bunch of questions they went through and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's the way.
That's the way he did it.
That's the way he did it. So, but the way that people live is okay. It's not that we're judging everybody. It's the people that we're encountering and that can hurt you. That's where I think this is really important. That's
I
just my
agree.
take on it.
I agree. I agree.
Beautiful.
All
All
right.
right. Well,
Here we go.
we'll wrap up here. Thank you.
Thank you.